Welcome, foolish mortals, to Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain. I am your host, Count Simon Gauntly, and each episode I'll be leading you on a journey through the history of film. Specifically, we'll be exploring that eldritch abyss known as the public domain. These are films forgotten by time or abandoned by their creators. The strange, the horrifying, the poorly and cheaply produced. All of these are the purviews of the public domain. So what are we waiting for? Come, join me in my crypt. It's bigger on the inside. Come, join me.
There lived a man so long ago, Count Gauntly was his name. His horror host abilities had brought him wide acclaim. The people flocked from miles around each Gauntly movie night, not knowing that the films he showed infringed on copyright. Upon discovering this fact and learning it was true, an angry mob of lawyers formed with pitchforks, torches too. They tracked the Count and sought to stop his movie hosting ways, and torches blazing put an end to Gauntly's earthly days. But our man was too resilient to let death be the last word. He stirred, sat up upon his slab and vowed he must be heard. So he stocked his tomb with gadgets from the local studio, intent on showing movies on an awesome TV show. But he had to find a legal way, so Gauntly racked his brain. 'Twas then he learned of something called the public domain. Now here he is, the time has come, his dreams are coming true. Count Gauntly's here to share a film in hopes that you won't sue.
Well, it's hard to believe, but true. Year number 4 is upon us, Ograt.
4 long years. Well, 3 technically.
Yeah, feels like 4. Sometimes. Maybe sometimes feels like more.
4th year isn't over yet?
Not yet. This is episode 37, and so begins our 4th season. Thank you, viewers, for joining us here on Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain, yet again, as you have indeed these 3 long years. And so, to celebrate this anniversary, Ograt and I plan to kick back in the crypt, wouldn't you say?
Nothing strange this episode, just like normal.
That's right. Just like every month, every week, as we sit here and molder and decompose. It's just going to be a standard run-of-the-mill affair. Nothing out of the ordinary or paranormal or supernumerary occurring.
Continuing to eat our normal food, just maybe a hamburger.
Yeah, not weird entrails. Although I do like that. What is happening over there?
Hasten, crypt dwellers, for the end times are upon us. Mercury's in the 4th house, Jupiter is in the 3rd, and I am in my cups. And the apocalypse is nigh begun.
Say what?
The apocalypse, it is upon us. I am the first, the 4 riders of the apocalypse, coming to foretell the end of the world.
Well, so much for nothing unusual. Should we discuss this? What's happening here?
I'm still not even entirely sure what is unfolding. You say you're the harbinger of the what now?
Well, I go by many names. Some may have known me as the projectionist. And then, for a while, I was Santa Claus. I think at some point I was even a turtle-type monster. But now, I have embraced the true spirit of conquest in my newest form of Pestilence, the first horseman of the apocalypse.
That's quite a promotion, I suppose. You're always one to jump on jobs as they appear. You don't miss out on opportunities. But if you're here to bring about the apocalypse, what exactly does that entail?
Well, I'll give you a little demonstration, perhaps. Being pestilence, I can bring great disease upon the world. Would you like to see some of my new powers?
Just a second there. Ogret. So if I'm reading this situation right, he's saying he's gonna end the world.
That he did make that quite clear.
All right. Well, if the world's gonna end, though, I mean, what does that mean for us?
Well, it means the show's over. At least there's that.
We're part of the world, right?
Yeah.
I would assume. The world seems to entail just about everything, so.
The crypt is on Google Maps.
Well, then that means the crypt is gonna end. That means the show is gonna end. So okay. But we don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. I mean, how do you feel about it?
Well, on the one side, Algrot doesn't have to labor here every day, every week, every month. But if Algrot had to choose between dying and rusting for eternity, Algrot would choose rusting. So we might as well try and stop this.
Okay, well, here, Mr. Pestilence, you said you were going to give a demonstration of your powers,
Right.
To presumably bring about your stage of the end times and Armageddon. And
Yes, I'm very excited
lay
about
waste to civilization. Mm-hmm. How about, because we have our equipment here underground, we have our public access accoutrement,
Right.
that you could demonstrate your powers for the viewer at home as part of Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain. Join us as a part of our broadcast and show your stuff as a horror host.
A public outreach service of sorts.
Exactly.
I can get behind that. Well, okay then. I will now demonstrate to you my powers of pestilence. So, what do you think of the diseases I visited upon you?
It certainly feels pestilential. What do you call this?
Oh, though that's a random collection of boils and buboes, somewhat similar to what I imagine the Black Plague would have been like. It's quite an extraordinary disease. I'm very proud of it.
Oh my, I can tell you've been practicing for a while. I don't know if you could see that at home. Just get a real good look. Because this is a labor of love. It certainly is. Well, you do good work, Pestilence. Hope the folks at home are learning something.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And what else have you got for us?
Well, if you look at my man Ograd over here, you'll see that he has come down with a trifling case of Ebola. Very, very brutal disease. Involves hemorrhaging of blood from various orifices, and quite deadly, in fact. Yes, and the blood of the world will run thick when the apocalypse begins.
How you feeling, Ograt?
Algrot feel good. This is the best Algrot felt since getting hit by a car last week.
Ograt's loving this. Oh, we're so glad we could have you, Pestilence.
Why, thank
and,
you.
I mean, you got some buddies coming at some point soon, right?
Yes, I have some great friends of mine who have agreed to come along to help kickstart this whole apocalypse thing.
Well, we'll see. But before they get here, maybe we gotta kill some time. What do you recommend we do?
Well, if you'd like to learn some more about the kind of diseases there are, I recommend a favorite film of mine. It's known as Bacteria, Friend or Foe.
Let's give that a watch, shall we? And you watching will check it out as well.
Ted Jones is visiting one of the laboratories at the City Health Department. His brother Frank has recently taken a position as a bacteriologist with the department. Ted seems to be having a little trouble.
Can't you get it focused on the field, Ted? Try using the fine adjustment knob. And do it more slowly. You're likely to miss the cells you're looking for, even though they may be there.
Okay, I'm trying. Say, here they are. Here, look.
Good. You know what kind they are?
No. All I know is that they came out of that test tube that you gave me.
Then they're one of the kinds of bacteria that cause food to spoil.
Ted has just seen one of the many kinds of bacteria. Bacteria are found almost everywhere in our environment. Some float around in the air. Some are in water or other liquids. Still others thrive in the soil. Bacteria are plants, but they are not green like the plants we usually see. Some kinds are indispensable. For example, countless bacteria are at work in this clover field. They are growing in the little nodules at the plant roots. Bacteria in these nodules take nitrogen from the air and change it into a form of plant food. Other kinds of bacteria are responsible for milk or cream becoming sour, the development of flavor and other qualities in cheese, and the disintegration of dead plants and animals. In fact, the effects of bacteria are so important that life as we know it would be impossible without them. Most bacteria are friends of man. Some even produce chemicals called antibiotics that are used to help fight different diseases. Only a few kinds of bacteria cause disease. Probably the first person to observe bacteria was Anton van Leeuwenhoek, inventor of one of the first successful microscopes. After looking through his crude microscope, he made drawings of the microorganisms he saw. These represented organisms from tartar scraped from his own teeth. In contrast, here, using a modern microscope, we see other microorganisms taken from tartar. After the time of Leeuwenhoek, generations were to pass before another achievement of great importance would be made in the study of bacteria. It was the famed chemist Louis Pasteur of France who in the 1850s proved that bacteria cause fermentation. This explained many of the chemical changes that go on in nature. Pasteur also proved that bacteria never develop out of dead organic matter alone, as some people had believed. He emphasized that bacteria can only come from other bacteria. Soon afterward, it was found that bacteria can spread disease from a sick animal to a healthy animal. But this discovery was made by Koch, a German contemporary of Pasteur. This discovery is the basis of the germ theory of disease. Robert Koch and his assistants also learned to prepare and use nutrient materials. Nutrient materials are usually jelly-like emulsions or fluids, which favor the growth of bacteria. Koch made other discoveries that helped lay the foundations of modern bacteriology. Since the time of Koch, much has been learned and many other kinds of bacteria discovered. Today, if Ted could collect all known kinds of bacteria, he would have thousands, and the facts that have been discovered about them are exceedingly numerous. He wonders how a beginner can ever learn about so many kinds of bacteria. Frank explains that it takes a systematic approach. For example, bacteria may be separated into groups according to what they live upon, the nature of the food they require. Some bacteria are parasites, others saprophytes, and still others autotrophs. Parasites depend upon living plants or animals for food. Here are some parasitic bacteria. Most bacteria that cause human disease are parasitic. Saprophytes live upon dead plants or animals or their products. Saprophytic bacteria produce enzymes that cause the chemical breakdown we call decay. There are more kinds of saprophytic bacteria than of any other type. Autotrophs get their energy from minerals or other inorganic materials. The autotrophic bacteria seen here live upon a form of iron. Through oxidation, they change one form of iron into another and use the energy that is released. Unlike the large majority of plants, most bacteria have no chlorophyll with which to manufacture food. Parasites, saprophytes, and autotrophs all take in food through their cell walls. To pass through these cell walls, the food must be soluble. In some instances, insoluble foods are converted into soluble materials by chemicals released by the bacteria themselves. All bacteria require soluble food to live. Ted thinks the information seems complicated, but Frank, speaking from experience, explains that the basic facts about bacteria are quite simple and very useful. Besides facts about the food getting of bacteria, Frank describes another type of information that is especially useful in bacteriology. Depending upon the structure or shape of bacteria, there are 4 main kinds. The cocci, that are round like these, that are common in the air. The bacilli, that are rod-shaped like these from gas gangrene. The spirilla, that are spiral like these taken from a sample of well water. And the filamentous forms, such as these thread-like ones. Structure or shape is one of the principal characteristics used by bacteriologists to classify or identify different kinds of bacteria. The life processes of bacteria are simple. We've already seen how bacteria obtain food. Now we will consider their reproduction, which takes place through simple division of the cells. In drawings, we can see that bacterium cells are continually growing. When a cell reaches maturity, it divides again. This goes on and on about every half hour, as long as the food supply holds out, or until some unfavorable condition slows down or stops their development. The reproduction rate of bacteria may be greatly affected by temperature. In a laboratory, the temperature can be controlled in an electric incubator. As Frank explains, there's always a temperature that's best for growing bacteria. Usually, this temperature is about 30 to 37 degrees centigrade. 37 degrees centigrade is about equal to the normal human body temperature. In case the temperature is unfavorable, some bacteria, especially the rod-like kinds, have a special means of protecting themselves. They do it by forming spores. Notice the spore forming in the center of one of these bacterium cells. Some other kinds of bacteria form spores at the ends of the rods instead of at the centers. Either way, a spore has a special wall around itself that seems to protect the bacterium inside from such adverse conditions as cold, heat, sunlight, or disinfectant. Later, when conditions improve, the spore may change back again into the rod-like bacterium. Not many disease-producing bacteria go through a spore form. Besides protective mechanisms, some bacteria are equipped to move about. The hair or whip-like parts attached to these bacterium cells are called flagella. Different types of bacteria have different types of flagella. Such flagella can be moved to propel a living bacterium through blood or other solutions. Not all bacteria have such means of locomotion. Since the time of Leeuwenhoek, progress in bacteriology has been phenomenal. His successors, such as Pasteur of France and Koch of Germany, have made discoveries and invented techniques indispensable in successfully preparing nutrient materials, growing cultures, and subjecting the cultures to tests that help identify and classify bacteria. Today, in bacteriology laboratories, work is conducted that leads to the control of the relatively few bacteria that are foes of mankind, and to the more effective use of the multitudes that are friends, in order to make human life more healthful and increase our standard of living.
Thus far, we've seen one horseman of the apocalypse. I wonder what's in store for number 2.
Oh, God. Whew, I'm not too late, am I?
I don't think so. Who might you be, sir?
Isn't it obvious? hold my axe.
Okay.
I am the second horseman. I am the war horseman. Oh, nay.
He's a horseman because he's a horseman.
You might be taking the whole horseman thing a little too literally.
You're taking things too literally. Anywho, so, what's going on?
Well, I mean, your buddy Pestilence back here, he said something about you guys coming through to destroy the world. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
That time of the year? The time of the millennium?
Mm-hmm. The final time of the year when you think about it, but okay.
Okay, I guess, I mean, even if things are in alignment, even if they say that's what you gotta be doing right now, wouldn't you rather be hosting a public access TV show in Fairfax, Virginia? At least for a little while?
Well,
I mean, time is ending. You're not gonna get this chance again.
you've got a point there. All right.
I mean, war, that's a game of tactics and timing and certainly knowing your enemy, knowing your opponent. I'm sure there's a lot we could learn from you, O War.
Yeah. All right. But let's do some combat drills. You know, get you up and about and doing some fun stuff.
Okay. We're gonna learn something about combat.
Yep.
Watch close.
So, you
may need this to fight off the apocalypse in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. All right.
Here goes.
Let me set up some targets. I know I've got some heads just lying around somewhere around here.
What are we doing here, War?
Well, we've got these heads as targets, the most vulnerable part of the body. And what we're going to have you do is throw some daggers. Do a little target practice, if you get what I mean.
Hey, throwing daggers at heads sounds very warlike, I gotta say.
All right, who's up first?
Let's give it a go.
Feel
I got a
free to
dagger
war
here
for it.
from somewhere. Let's test my accuracy here.
Not bad.
I feel like I'm getting stronger already. Give it a go. That was quite good. It's not even standing up anymore.
Let's win.
Let's dig for some more daggers. We got any magic hands back there that might reach for a dagger? Anyone? Ah, there we go. Okay. Oh, I missed.
Awful.
I need better practice.
Much better. Get angry.
Okay, I'm feeling more warlike already.
Excellent.
I'm getting into it. I can see how you guys. I can see why you guys enjoy laying waste to the world. It does have its appeal.
Yes.
Thank you, War. But we got more of your buddies coming, right?
Oh yes, the best is yet to come.
Oh, well, I gotta say I am looking forward to it. But while we got you here, we'll queue up a war film, I guess. But let's see what you got. I mean, you're the master swordsman, right? The best fighter?
Oh, you want to see what I can do? Huh?
I got to see what you got.
All right.
So let's get one of those targets up out here. Get it nice and visible.
Now it's very important that nobody moves. Just like that.
You saw it here first, folks. You saw it here first. The master of war, the second horseman of the apocalypse, demonstrating his forte, his fighting skills, here on Count Gauntly's Horrors from the Public Domain.
us face, without panic, the reality of our times, the fact that atom bombs may someday be dropped on our cities, and let us prepare for survival by understanding the weapon that threatens us. An atom bomb destroys or injures in three ways: by blast, heat, and radioactivity. The blast of an atom bomb is its most important destructive agent. In Japan, whole buildings were flattened by its force. However, many buildings of sturdy construction, even though close to the explosion, remained standing. The principal dangers of blast are flying glass and debris, the fires it may start, and the danger of being crushed in collapsing buildings. The atom bomb destroys by heat. People caught in the open as far as 2 miles away suffered flash burns. Yet, protection could have been easily achieved. Here, a bridge post and rail shielded the surface behind it. Any solid material afforded similar protection. The third weapon of the bomb is radioactivity, thrown off at the instant of explosion. However, the majority of people exposed to radiation recovered completely, including a large percentage of those who suffered serious radiation sickness. Today, they lead normal lives. They bear children. Their children are normal. These, then, are the weapons of the atom bomb that we must protect against: blast, heat, and radioactivity. Our cities are prime targets for atomic attack, but mass evacuation would be disastrous. An enemy would like nothing better than to have us leave our cities empty and unproductive. If an emergency should come, our factories will be battle stations. Production must go on if we are to win. Our offices and homes will also be posts of duty, not to be deserted. With the knowledge of the first atomic explosions to guide us, our chances for survival will be far better than those of the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if we act on our knowledge and are prepared. The first job is to look over your own home for shelter possibilities. If you live in a private home that is well built, the cellar is the safest place to be. The lower you get, the more barriers there are likely to be against blast, heat, and radioactivity. Select the basement wall nearest the probable target area of your city. If the house is blown over, it will most likely fall away from this wall. If you have a workbench or strong table big enough to get under, move it into your shelter area near a wall or strong supporting column. If the time comes when you actually have to take shelter, lie under the table. If you live in a home that has no basement, choose a shelter area without windows on the ground floor. An interior hallway is probably best. In time of emergency, the shelter area should be cleared of mirrors and other objects that might cause injury. If you live in an apartment house, rules for taking shelter will be posted in your building. Learn them. Also, learn the location of public shelters in areas where you work or frequently visit. There are many things you can begin doing right now. Fireproof housekeeping is one, so clean up that attic. Keep waste in covered containers. Don't let trash pile up in the yard. Set aside a small supply of canned goods. They're safe from radioactivity. Have a good flashlight on hand. Electric lights may go out. Keep a first aid kit and learn how to stop bleeding. Make a habit of keeping a bottle of fresh water handy. A radio will be important for receiving vital instructions. Finally, prepare the shelter area and collect all necessary shelter equipment. In case of an actual raid or test drill, the alert will be a warbling siren blast lasting 3 minutes. Once you hear this, act fast. pull down the shades or blinds and close the drapes against flying glass. Turn off the burners of your gas or electric stove. Disconnect any heating elements, such as electric irons, hot plates, or bathroom heaters. Close all outside doors, but leave them unlocked. Turn off the gas or oil burners. Taking shelter may be a race against time, even when you have some advance warning. But possibly, there may be no time. An attack could come without warning. The sky would suddenly light up. If a doorway is right at hand, use it. If the nearest shelter is more than a couple of steps away, fall to the ground immediately. Flying glass and debris are immediate dangers, so stay where you are until you're sure it's safe to move. If you are at home when a surprise attack occurs, crawl beneath a table if it is very near, or drop to the floor with your back to the window. The immediate danger is over in about a minute, unless the explosion occurred near the ground or water. In this case, radioactive materials are trapped in the particles of dirt or water thrown up by the explosion. When these particles fall back to Earth, they may be dangerous. So get indoors immediately after a ground-level explosion. Cover broken windows against radioactive dust with blankets or cardboard. Civil defense radiological teams, equipped with radiation survey meters, will check on contamination in any bombed area. Stay under cover until you hear officially that it is safe outside. If you have been exposed to radioactive dust, wash the exposed areas. Pay particular attention to your hair. Get all the dirt from under your fingernails. If the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had known what we know about civil defense, thousands of lives would have been saved. Yes, the knowledge is ours, and preparation can mean survival for you. So act now. Someday your life may depend on it.
That was War, brought to us by none other than the Horsemen of War. The world is learning a lot in its final hours, and I think you guys have put together a really good show. You know, it's a shame that it's going to have to end with the rest of everything else. But what have we got in store for number 3, I wonder? What do you think, Abrat?
Tough to say.
My name is Famine, and I hate food. I love everything about fasting. I hate food. I hate people eating food.
Do you eat rust?
No.
This man has no logic.
So you're saying you don't eat anything?
I don't eat anything, and I hate when people eat food.
Well, then I've got some good news for you. We are not eating food right now.
Oh yeah? Then what is that?
This?
That is evidence that you have been eating.
Huh. Well, I guess I can't fault that logic, but in my defense, he was eating too.
No, we can't. This can't be. I have to do something about this.
Huh. Well, that was unpleasant. So, what did you have in mind for your segment? Because we've invited your apocalyptic brethren to help us host the show here today. I mean, as a last hurrah, I guess.
Yeah, so my favorite thing to do, besides not eating food.
Well, okay, because, yeah, I was trying to see that if we did a whole segment just not eating, that's not a very active activity, so what else you got?
Don't worry. My favorite thing to do is not eat food and stare at it. Stare at the food.
Stare at the food.
Stare at the food.
While you're not eating it.
While not eating the food.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel so happy inside.
Can I smell the food?
No. No smell.
Just
Only
look at it.
Got to plug your nose.
Just look at it. Just look at it.
It's fun to eat supper with your family, especially when there is good food on the table. Strong, healthy bodies. They are good foods to eat. Father is certainly enjoying his supper. So is Carol. So is Mother. Just look at that plate. Aren't you feeling well, Bill? Aren't you hungry? What can be the matter? After supper, it's fun to play a while before bed. But there's still something wrong, isn't there, Bill? In a moment, you'll know what it is. Yes, Bill, you're getting a stomachache. You have a stomachache, it isn't any fun to play. There it is again. Poor Bill. What now? We'll soon know, because here comes Mother. Mother can tell right away that Bill isn't feeling well. So, what happens next? Yes, Bill's put to bed to get some rest. Now, why does Bill have a stomachache? He didn't eat anything bad today, did he? Well, perhaps it wasn't what he ate, but the way he ate it. Why, even this morning, Mother was a little worried. Let's go back to this morning and see how Bill's stomachache might have happened. Bill wasn't at breakfast on time this morning. You see, he didn't get up when Father first called him. Oh, Bill got to the table, and he ate his breakfast, or rather, part of it. Orange juice, one big gulp of it. Milk for the cereal, splash it on. No time to waste. Gobble down the cereal, a couple of big spoonfuls, one right after the other. But leave most of it. Now for the eggs. More good, healthful food. But what about Bill's eating habits? Into his mouth went some egg. Right away, a big bite of toast. And there was some bacon, so he stuffed in part of that. And then, just one big splash of milk. And Bill was off to school. Well, he caught up with his family, and he beat them through breakfast. But he ate so fast. And do you think he ate enough? At lunchtime, Bill had some fine sandwiches. He also had money to buy soup. But he didn't want to stand in line for soup. He was in a hurry to go out and play. So, how did Bill eat his lunch? Watch. After school, of course, Bill was hungry. He was hungry and he had some money. But did Bill leave his pop and candy only half eaten? No, sir. He emptied that pop bottle as fast as he could. He gobbled down all his candy. And, as if that wasn't enough, he ate some cookies, too. Then Bill didn't feel hungry anymore. No, sir. For once, he had eaten too much. At supper time, Bill still felt full. So he didn't hurry with his supper. He just poked at it. He was tired. And he just didn't have any appetite. Bill didn't know it, but he was already beginning to be sick. Well, Bill, now you know what might have caused your stomach ache. Why you feel so bad. Why you'll have to stay in bed until you feel better. You see, you hurried so all day long. You rushed through your meals and didn't eat enough good food. And then, in the afternoon, all those sweets. They filled your stomach and didn't leave room for any of the foods you need. In fact, Bill, you mistreated your stomach all day long. No wonder you have a stomach ache. How is it this morning, Bill? Feel better? Think you know now about good eating habits? Downstairs in time for breakfast. Give yourself time to eat a good breakfast. Let's see how well you can eat. That's right. Drink your juice a little at a time. Doesn't it taste good? You just never took time before to find how good food can taste. Mother's pleased and proud. We're off to a good start this morning. But will it last? Will you remember to eat the right way? Uh-oh, almost washed your food down. Before you take a drink, chew your food well and swallow it. Now you're eating pretty well. Will you do as well with the bacon and eggs and toast? Chew your toast thoroughly. That's the way. Chew and chew. Doesn't it taste extra good that way? What about that bacon? Well, maybe there are better ways to cut it. But when you eat it in small bits, you can chew it better. It tastes so good, you want to eat every bite. Breakfast is more fun this way, isn't it? Well, Bill, plenty of time to get to school today. And in class, studying seems easier. What? 11 o'clock? Usually you're mighty hungry by this time. Today, you feel fine. Lunchtime is another time to practice good eating habits. Eat slowly and chew thoroughly. Finish all your food. Later on, drink lots of water. After school, that's the idea, Bill. A good snack of crackers and milk at home. That's the good kind of food if you're hungry after school. And then play. Hard play. plenty of pep now. Yesterday's stomach ache is forgotten. At supper time, you're hungry again. Everything tastes good, and you're eating well. See what good eating habits can do for you? Looking for seconds. After supper, you feel fine. No stomach ache, not too tired, not hungry. Just feeling fine. And that...
Oh, man. That really pushed Ograt to the limit. He just couldn't take it. He loves to eat, even when he's puking blood. And, man, that was just too much for him. Having to watch food and not eat food. Ugh, you guys are serious about your business, I guess. Huh. But 1, 2, 3 of you. The world's not over yet. There's got to be 4. So...
What is this
Number 4,
I see here? I am death.
Death, huh?
Death!
Oh, goodness.
My brethren, why do you not destroy this place?
Yes, at long last it is time to wreak havoc upon the world.
Yes. The coming of time is at an end.
Hey, what's going on? Did someone say ending the world? Are those the words I heard?
There are only 4 horsemen, not 5.
I'm not a horseman. Oh, you got me all wrong. Look, there's been a big misunderstanding, all right? This place we call the crypt, it ain't the world, dude. This is outside of the realm of man. We are in another universe. There are many universes like bubbles in soap. So foam, the foam of the multiverse. You don't have to destroy us, man. This ain't Earth.
Actually, that's an interesting and confusing point. Check your guys' manifest. I mean, is this where your work order is supposed to be?
I'm telling you, there's a mistake.
This is not.
Something is not right, certainly.
Oh! Pack it up, boys. We're needed elsewhere.
Yes.
We're off to Earth.
It's time to destroy the world.
Oh.
So you got a world somewhere else that you're going to destroy?
Yeah, the real world.
Best of apologies, Gauntly.
You know, I think I have learned a thing or two here about world ending. I mean, we covered pestilence in bacteria, friend and foe. We learned about war as well in an educational short film. And then, of course, we learned about food while not eating food. We stared at it and we didn't eat it, and I held up. And so I'm thinking, assuming the crypt is going to be here a while longer, maybe you guys might have a little bit of use for me. Okay. So what I'm saying is, let's go ravage that real world.
Let's do it. Let's bring the
Good to have you on board. The honorary horseman, Sir Simon Gauntly.
Tally forth! Sally ho! Vengeance and destruction! And Armageddon!
Happy 4th season of Gauntly! Woo! Woo! Ah!
Everything will be okay, and then you're gonna die. It's something that you've gotta face, it's something that you can't deny. Everybody worries about what tomorrow brings. Then before they know it's time to go, they've got to give up everything. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. People always wondering what happens when they die. Is there an afterlife waiting up in the sky? It is all for nothing. Is life only but a dream? Then before they know it's time to go, you got to give up everything. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. Tomorrow is a promise that many don't receive. Some don't want to hear this, others are just naive. So settle your possessions and go travel the world, because before you know it's time to go, you've got to give up everything. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. It's a wicked life. It's a wicked life. It's a wicked life. A wicked life. A wicked life. It's a wicked life. It's a wicked life.